everyone, Darren here, and on today's episode of WoTC Academy, we're going to look at the 21st installment of the Map Awareness series. And I would definitely want to hang on to the edge of your seats on this one. This replay is from the One Clan. I will be posting a channel a link to their channel in the description below. And they have some fantastic games on there. They really do. This particular member of the clan is his name is Bambucza. I believe he's a Polish. He's a fantastic Polish tanks player. So I apologize if I butcher the name. But yeah, so we are on Fisherman's Bay. They started in the south spawn. It is a standard battle, so we kind of already know that more or less this is how the game tends to work, is that the team that is currently in the spawn layout that we see with the northern team up by the river and the southern team up in the lower left hand corner, what ends up happening is exactly what you see, this clockwise movement of the south team pushing the 1-2 line and the north team pushing the city, village, bay thing. And kind of with like a weird mixed stalemate right along the center village road right there. So right now, just while we're waiting here for some action to happen, he's destroying the building there so that way he can, seems to try and get a shot on the light tank, but then what he ends up, and I'm completely distracted by light tank distractions, and that is just another kind of, well, as a light tank player, it helps to focus just hitting the auto aim and focusing on where you're driving. And Bambucza is, I'm just going to shorten it to Bambi, or that was the nickname given to him apparently that I've been told. I'm going to refer to him as Bambi. Bambi made a good initial thing until he broke no longer being spotted of using the light tank as kind of like a shield or a buffer, the carcass right there. He does take a hit and he does get ammo racked, but thankfully he's got the large kits and he manages to repair that kit, and he's got less than a minute cooldown. Right now he is lit up, but the leopard, not the leopard, the M60 has fantastic accuracy, as does almost all the other tanks in this game now. But the M60 is kind of like the, it's kind of like the love child of the M48 Patton and the Leopard 1. It's got really no armor, but it's got fantastic handling like the M48A5. So it almost will never take hits very well. As you can see right now, Artie is now kind of realizing that there's two tanks in the open and trying to get a bombardier medal. Not a whole lot to really talk about at the moment, as he's just trying to use mobility and everything. It's later on in the game of when really the map awareness starts to kick in and you really need to pay attention to what he's doing. As of right now, it's more of just like a close game. He's trying to avoid getting hit while also maintaining distance, so where he can essentially do the best form of trading damage, and that is simply farming. Because again, you can't really effectively trade in a vehicle that is not really entirely forgiving when it's getting shot at. So again, he's making good use of foliage. He knocked down a tree to make a big bush or even a double bush, depending on where he positions himself. And the looks of it seems to kind of be a mix of both, really. Knocking trees down does effectively turn them into massive bushes. If any of you have not realized that yet, please also see the video about trees that I made. That will help. But again, currently maintaining distance, playing the role of essentially a support vehicle, sitting back and supporting the team that actually has the armor to push. Being a little distracted here, ran into a teammate. He's definitely, whenever he goes to aim at a vehicle, this is good awareness of at least the terrain around you. Whenever he does try and shoot at something, he tries to keep a bush or something in between him and his opponent that he's aiming at to keep him from getting spotted there. And the more bushes or more concealable objects that you have in between, basically bushes or trees knocked down. It's, yeah, pretty much anything that is foliage. The greater your concealment value will be, simply because that's just how the mechanic works. Of the more bushes you have in between you and the thing you're shooting at, the less likely you are to get spotted. Again, the game is still very, very close. His team is only down by one vehicle right now, so the odds could go in either direction. He manages to catch an STI out in the open. Bold move by the STI, with the game still being this close, to try and cross the open. And he's getting punished for it simply by sitting in the back. He decided, Bambi decided to relocate, and which, you know, definitely is kind of one of those things. Don't get a pattern of peeking out of the same spot. So he did a smart move of, he took 2 shots and he was like, that's it, I'm done, and I'm going to relocate. And he shifted his fire to a different target, so that way, you know, he could get the heat off of him that the STI was, you know, essentially the STI was waiting for him to poke out again. So he was, and that because the STI was ready this time. So he shifted focus to start looking at other targets and hoping that his teammate would deal with the STI so he doesn't have to. Now the game has kind of turned a little bit against him here. It is now 4 to 8. So definitely, in many cases, most people would be like, this game is lost. Most cases, not saying all the time. So, again, really excellent knowing of the tank's strengths and weaknesses, with the M60 having fantastic gun handling, but mediocre armor. So he's putting hard cover in between him and his opponents this time, because the noose is being closed on him and his teammates, and he's putting hard cover in between him and his opponents, and he's focusing on shooting out of a gap that, you know, a snapshot would not be able to handle very well, pretty much because the gap to get that round through is relatively small. It's smart play, smart tactics that even I sometimes completely forget about considering in situations like this. So again, they managed to take care of one tank. The odds have been now slightly better, but still bad. Of now it's 4 to 7, where they took one vehicle in exchange for 0 losses of their own right now. So again, now we're just kind of waiting. He's trying to keep angle. He's again using effective bush cover here to conceal his position from the opponent that he is shooting at. He has transitioned to heat at some point that I honestly have failed to notice. And in this same situation where we are losing, I would have done the same. As you can see, it's not really bad. It is now a 1v6 scenario, and this is, again, where the map awareness comes into play. It's just him. He has to have his head on a constant swivel, because, in all honesty, it will seriously it only takes 2 tanks to go at him, and he would be done, unless both of those were essentially one-shots. Deciding to go after the bigger threat, so especially, this is another awareness. The waffle broke contact, and in most cases, chances are they are reloading. So it is a smart move, again, in most cases, to go after that vehicle and get rid of it, because it is a very big threat. There are chances, though, that they are trying to bait you into their gun, and they are loaded and ready to go. It's just kind of a chance you have to take and decide in a spur of the moment. He still has some heat rounds. He's got 10 left, so he's definitely going to make sure that they count. And this is a perfect situation of when to use premium rounds, of when the situation is this desperate that, you know, honestly, I view it as perfectly acceptable to pull out the premium rounds. Other than that, it's really your own discretion. He has switched over to his standard rounds, as he now has taken care of 2 very big threats of the Jaegeru and the Waffle, and he doesn't have a whole lot of heat. He switched to his standard to find out, and this must be an older before they actually had the ammo count, but he switched over to standard to find out how many standard rounds he had left, and then he switched over to his premium again. I guess we're switching over to standard. I can't really comment on this. Really, I would just pick around and stay on it. but he is staying on the standard rounds. He doesn't really need the heat rounds right now because the Death Star is out in the open, and you really don't need that. Death Star fired a shot and missed, and that is because Bambi is not sitting still long enough for the Death Star to acquire a solid stationary target and making his job easy. He's actually making the Death Star's job hard and really forcing the Death Star to close the distance, otherwise suffer the fate. Even Artie at this point is now after him trying to shotgun. You can see that right now he's aware that he's being closed in on by 2 tanks from one direction, and he realized, I need to get out of this corner. It's a very smart move. He has broken off contact, or tried to, and he is now fleeing the original area to find a better position that will be suitable to him to allow him to fight this battle on his terms. A lot of mistakes sometimes are made by players that may be in this type of situation, is they stay in the same spot because they are afraid to move. I'm guilty of doing that, but in some cases, this is the best decision of, they know where you are, it's best to leave so that way you can re-engage them potentially from an angle they are not expecting. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have this luxury as they know where he's at and he's continuously getting respotted. Every time he does, though, get spotted, he flips around to re-engage or at least try to put their heads back down and putting solid cover or even concealment in between him and his opponent. Whatever he can to break the line of sight or even make hitting him harder for the enemy team. Again, he's now broken contact. This is what the light tank failed to do. Earlier in the game, he failed to simply engage auto aim and focus more on driving. Granted, that wasn't a very good example, but that is essentially what that light tank should have done. But that's not the focus of this replay. He now has solid cover in between him and his opponents right now. Unfortunately, he probably would have been okay if he didn't knock down that tree, as the position he was at, he was unspotted. But situation probably, it's something there. Again, the tank location probably also dictated that he was going to get spotted anyway, even if he didn't knock down the tree. They knew where he was, and they are continuously chasing him down. And again, he's putting as much concealment in between him and his opponents. This is a little bit of a bold move. He was no longer spotted, and he decided to actually come back and re-engage. It's kind of a little bit of like a mind trick. The enemy team, might have figured and turned their tanks in order to chase, thinking that he is going towards their base, but instead he doubled back to try and re-engage. And as you can see, he's now using the bush mechanics to hide himself from the Maushan that is still full health. And he only has 1 heat round left, and you're going to see some fantastic gunplay again that demonstrates the capabilities of the M60. He took care of the the second to last vehicle, and he's effectively turned this 1v6 into a 1v1 by simply knowing full well the capabilities of his vehicle and maintaining excellent situational awareness and making some very good tactical and strategic decisions to put the odds back into his favor. He's maintaining very good distance, and he's not letting the Maushan figure out where he is. The Maushan probably knows where he is roughly, but you can't really engage a target you can't see. And even these bushes help hide your round. The shot indicators that you tend to see now help a little bit with the general direction, but they don't really give you a dead accurate position. And as you can see, even with standard rounds, he has essentially just whittled the health down of that Maushan. And again, this game is won. Fantastic gameplay with 11,000 combined damage, over 10,000 raw, and again, 1v6 into a victory. Fantastic game. Again, check out the Clan 1's channel. They have fantastic replays like this one. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and the One Clan's channel as well, and the link will be in the description. But until next time, this has been Darren of WoTC Academy.